You're listening to Inside Lebo, a podcast giving you an inside look at Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania, produced by Mount Lebanon's Public Information Office.
Hello and welcome to Inside Lebo. I'm your host, Assistant Municipal Manager and Municipal Planner, Ian McMeans.
And I'm Assistant Public Information Officer and Senior and Online Editor, Rachel Windsor.
So for those listening at home, did you know that Mount Lebanon is launching a new software to streamline our building and inspection permit process?
If not, we have someone here to tell you all about it. So we have with us Building Inspector Josh Meyer. And why don't you kick it off by telling us what is the new software?
Well, thank you for having me. We are currently in development of Municity 5. It is a web-based building and code enforcement software. The whole process is going to streamline how people apply for permits, hopefully reduce lead times on actually obtaining those permits, and be more transparent both in our office and to everyone outside our office, both the residents, contractors, and anyone involved with a project to obtain permits faster, as well as record and track all the inspections, all the fees, and everything. So we're currently in development of this software, and hopefully it does what it's supposed to do and reduce the confusions maybe.
Yeah, and currently, as it was, there was some permits people could apply for through our website, but some you still had to bring in hard copies for, and this should, in theory, streamline everything so you can submit everything through an online portal and then track your permit from initial application all the way through comments, responses from architects and engineers, all the way through actually issuing the permit.
Correct. Currently, the only thing we could apply for online currently are zoning permits, the simple things, driveways, sheds, fences. Everything else, we required hard copies. Well, the code requires us to stamp a set and send a set out with an approved plan. With the new software, it's going to be more capable of accepting everything online, everything digital. Now, for anyone who's technically challenged or describes himself as that, we will still take hard copies. We can do that. But hopefully for everyone else, the side that the residents and the contractors will see is called Municity Connect. It's the citizen portal. It's how people will apply for permits. They're basically drop-down menus where you can select what type of permit you're applying for. You can upload all your documentation, your drawings, your survey, your actual application will be in there, your cost, your contractor, everything. And then it will come to us, make sure that everything that is required to apply for that permit is actually in there, and then it'll get processed to go in line for review. At that point, once it actually does get reviewed, we will be able to communicate directly through the software. So everything will be tracked. Any emails, phone calls, things like that, we can add all those notes, and all those emails will be in that software so we know exactly where something is. On our end, we can track that, but on the citizen side or the resident side, there will be information in there more than what you see just now. Right now, if you log in online, it says basically in process until we do something with it on our end. This will be a little more transparent. They'll be able to see a little checklist of items that it was received, it was processed for review. Once we actually do review it, if we have comments, we send things out in an email. It will actually show those people that. That way, in case a homeowner's email address was not on an application, but the contractor's was, at least the homeowner will now know that information was sent out to that contractor about their project. So they'll be able to track it on their end a little bit better with the new system.
And would you say that this is still in the early stages?
It's the very early stages. We've been in development since about February. We're in phase 3 of 6 phases, pretty much, to develop this software. Pretty much we send in how we want it to operate. They have a template, so to speak, and then we tweak that on how they want to operate for us. We give them all our data, our legacy data, our back data. We send that to them, and then they tweak that to go into the new system. We're about to close out phase 3 and go into phase 4, which is basically where we're ready to start using the system on our end before it goes out to the public. So the final tweaks and things until it gets working.
Cool. So we talked a bit about the software making it easier for residents to track their permits. And, I know one of the challenges that we have sometimes, if people are putting an addition on or something, that there's communication between the resident and the inspection office, the architect in the inspections office, and maybe even the contractor in the inspections office. So can you talk a little bit more about how to make it easier for residents to track things? You said that they'll be able to see communications back and forth between, inspections and the architect asking for more comments and things like that.
The system will hold emails and communications directly in it underneath that permit. So if you apply for an addition permit and say I review it and I have comments for your architect, your engineer, whoever it might be, I send that information out. That is all tracked right in our system, the new system. A lot of that will be able to be seen on the residents' end through the portal. There will be some limitations to what is seen. It's not 100% everything on our end is seen on that end, but most of those straightforward, like maybe an inspection. So once we get to an inspection, if something passes or fails, I'm able to send an email directly from the site with what had failed or that particular inspection had passed directly to the contractor, include the homeowner and everyone involved, so they know directly there that maybe this inspection failed for these reasons. Right now, it's more we're on site, we're talking to that contractor who's there that day, and I relay the message on, okay, you need to do this, this, and this is why this is failing, or this has passed, and maybe the homeowner doesn't know that they even passed an inspection, or something gets lost in translation between a contractor and relaying that message to a homeowner. They will be able to see exactly that they passed this inspection. It's a checklist of items. It's all right there for them to see.
That's a great benefit too for the homeowners to be able to, because they're the ones that are spending the money on the whatever project is being done. So it's a great benefit to them, I think, to be able to see the progress of their project in action rather than just relying on the word of their architect or contractor. It's a lot more, like you said, transparent in the process than just kind of the word of mouth of how it had been done previously. So this sounds great. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back with more from Josh Meyer, our building inspector, about the new Municity 5 software. Welcome back to Inside Lebo. We're here today with Josh Meyer, our building inspector, talking about the new software system that the municipality is in the process of building out and will be rolling out soon later this year for residents to be able to apply for and then track permits and other applications through the inspections office and eventually the planning office as well, online through a new portal. So Josh, can you talk a little bit about the old process that we had before that we're now getting away from, and then how it's different for the new process?
Yeah, the old process was pretty much all hard copies on paper. We required applications to come in. We required documents as far as drawings, surveys, everything to come in hard copies. Which could be tedious for some people about getting that information to us. They might be out of town, they might be working from another state, whatever it might be, and getting that information to us. The new system will allow that to come in digitally, and we will have access to reviewing documents digitally, more than we have already. So the old process, it would come in, we would make sure that all the correct information was there. We would make sure there wasn't 2 copies of everything. Everything was to scale. Everyone may have heard us talk about surveys being to scale because we need that information to be correct. Digitally, as long as it's not warped, we can make it to scale with the software. We have ways to do that, so as long as they upload the correct information, send us everything we need in a complete submittal, it should help reduce lead times on getting the right documentation in and turning around permits a little bit quicker.
And I'm guessing since it's a digital web-based application, residents also don't, or contractors or whoever, don't have to actually drop them off during business hours. You could submit them at 10:30 at night or whenever is convenient to you.
That's right. It will be available. It is digital. You can apply it at 3 o'clock in the morning if that's when you're up and working. So, right now everything is 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday in the office. Drop it off, hard copies. The new system will allow that to happen almost any time. it will come into what we call a dashboard as Diane in our office will see that come in as something new submitted, and then she'll be able to quickly review to make sure all the right documents are there, and then she can assign that to one of the inspectors, the one it's who's supposed to go to for review. So it just helps everything get tracked a little bit better, helps streamline the whole system a little bit better, and overall I think it's more transparency on the residents and contractors side as where your project stands. Just in the review process and getting the actual permits out the door.
Great. And when do you think we can expect to see this rolled out?
Right now we're finishing up phase 3 of 6. We anticipate going live sometime toward the middle of end of next month.
Cool, that's great. So I have one other question for you too. We've talked a bit about how residents will be able to go on and see kind of the status of their permit and everything else. Will neighbors be able to access any information? I know sometimes we get phone calls of, hey, my neighbor's been putting this deck on. Do they have a permit for it? Can you go in and look at other properties, or can people just look at their own property?
They will only be able to see their own property. It's similar to how we do it now, where you will have to log in to the portal under your information. So there will be a login and a password. You will only see the information for your property, your permits, your history of your property, and where current things stand. I mentioned contractors before. If you as a resident work out with your contractor that they apply for the permit and they log in, they will see that information. It's who logs in for that property. No one, your neighbors won't see anything. It's not that public. It's specifically to you.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense too, because I'm sure there's proprietary information regarding how certain people's homes are and properties, and it's their private property. So it makes total sense that just the property owner and then anyone they designate that's working on their project can see it.
Correct. Cool. One other thing I did forget to mention: you will be able to apply or actually pay for the permits once they're issued through the portal as well. So once the permit is actually issued, instead of coming up to the office to pick up hard copies, if everything was digital from the start, you can pay for that permit online and actually obtain the stamped approved copy of your permit digitally through email. So again, that's just one more thing that reduces the amount of paper we use, reduces people's time in trying to come to the office, and turn around things a little bit quicker.
Cool. Thanks. And I'm assuming too that since everything is digital, any comments that any of the inspectors put on the plans will all be kind of in typed format now, and probably much easier to read than someone's handwriting, especially if they were trying to write quickly. Not saying anyone has bad handwriting in the inspections office, but as someone who writes quickly very often, sometimes things can get lost in translation. So I'm guessing that makes it easier that way too.
That's correct. We do have a plan review software. We'll be able to actually type out our comments and put our stamp on those plans. It'll be much more easy to read and find on an actual permit document.
Cool.
Great. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today, Josh. We're excited, about the rollout for this for residents coming up. And that will be it for this edition of Inside Lebo, produced by Carrie Munyo, with music by Drew Munyo and graphics by Chris Lieber.
Check back soon for another episode of Inside Lebo.
Thanks for listening to Inside Lebo, produced by Mount Lebanon's Public Information Office. Learn more about all things Lebo at mountlebanon.org or by following our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages.